last week on your blog, Musings on Markets, you published your Tesla valuation. You landed at $180 per share, which is 15% below its current trading price of 213. And I have to admit, I would have expected a lower valuation from you, considering the extent to which narrative plays a part in the market's valuation of this company. I mean, narratives about software and about robots and Elon's overall vision and genius. But in this valuation, you actually applied numbers to those narratives. And you said that the software business, which is nascent at best, is worth $50 billion. And you said that the Robotaxi business, which doesn't exist at all right now, is worth $120 billion. Could you take us through your thinking here?
I think that, the fact that something is nascent doesn't mean it doesn't have value. I mean, let's face it, our cars are increasingly computers and software runs them. So we know auto software is going to be a growth business. Part of it is going to be AI, part of it is going to be FSD, part of it is going to be something else. And much as people like to take Tesla's FSD efforts apart, and I think that they're often rushed to the market, they're overhyped. The reality is it's the only automobile company that seems to be taking FSD seriously as a business model. So much as we'd like to say, this isn't ready, and in fact, I don't start the revenues from Robotaxis till 2027 because I think it'll take a while for them to work their way through the technological barriers and the regulatory barriers. But I think that the connecting narrative numbers is always something I've emphasized. I've said, look, I'm willing to listen to your story, but I want to make sure that the story doesn't become a fairy tale. Maybe I'm pushing the limits of these narratives with the numbers I'm attaching to them. But I think these businesses are going to show up. It's not a question of whether there will be a robo-taxi business or whether there will be an auto software business. The question is who's going to be lead players in the business. And I think Tesla is going to be one of those lead players. Now, but if I value Tesla just as an automobile company, my value per share is 120. So when people often say, look, that this looks high, it's because those side businesses are where the value comes from. I'll tell you the one thing that Tesla is doing that makes me believe that they believe the side businesses are where the money is going to be made is the price cuts, which is that they're cutting prices on cars, effectively lowering the margins in the hope might be misplaced, that selling more cars is going to allow them to do other stuff. And what I'm trying to do is bring that other stuff into the equation. I mean, the 180 is with all, every lever in full throttle. And if it's at 200, even with every lever in full throttle, he's saying, what do I do next? In fact, I've already got pushback from Tesla Optimus saying, where's the bot business, the Optimus business? It's amazing. Each time you hit a business that Tesla's in, they come up with 3 other businesses. 2 out of the 3 will never make it out. I don't think the insurance business is a good business for anybody to be in, least of all Tesla. And I actually, in my corporate finance class last semester, pulled all the numbers I could about Tesla bots and said, value Tesla bots alone as a project. And I got values in the billions, maybe a few tens of billions, not hundreds of billions. So if it's a business, I don't see it as the kind of $1 trillion business that people are making it out to be. It's a B2B business. You're selling these robots to other companies that are manufacturing companies, mining companies, as replacements of the workers. An entire social cost we're not talking about here. What happens to all those workers, assuming these bots actually make it, that we displace? But that's a mistake we've made over and over again in the last 40 years. We talk about progress as an unmitigated plus, and we don't talk about the costs we create as side costs for everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this feels like the ultimate question with Tesla, right? It's like, which business narratives do you choose to believe? And I guess my follow-up question would be like, why do you eliminate, what's your line in terms of eliminating the bots business? You're down to value the Robotaxi business. I'm not sure if that's a new decision this quarter, but where do you draw that line on what counts and what doesn't?
I have a divide which I use in valuation of possibilities, plausibilities, and probability. Possibilities are options. It could happen, but you don't have enough substance around it to put numbers on it. Now, until about 2 years ago, the robo-taxi for me was a possibility. It was an option. I was willing to listen, but I said, look, I can't put any numbers because you're not far enough along the way. This year in particular, I'm willing to open the door that these businesses are starting to become plausible. That's a judgment call. Will that happen with the robot business? I'm not sure. Now, it might just fade away because there are other businesses that Tesla has claimed it will enter that really never materialized. So you start with the possibilities, you view them as options. If they play out, then you convert them into plausible scenarios, bring them into the numbers. And the end game is ultimately they start to show up in your financials as actual revenues, actual operating income, actual cash flow.